Do you think you worry as much as you used to?
Yes and no, because I feel like I do worry a lot, but I've figured out how to control it or like work through it now.
Ooh, how did you do that?
It's a good question. Well, I remember like growing up, I would cry every day going to school, and I talk about that a lot. Like I cried up until like 7th grade every single morning.
Oh, I know.
And like you couldn't take me to school anymore
Correct.
because it was too horrible.
Yeah.
And I figured out that like it was anxiety, but it was also just my emotions. I feel like I would make up what people were feeling, and then I would feel it for them because like I'm super empathetic, you know? So growing up, I would just make up a feeling that someone had, and then I would feel it, and then it would freak me out because I would be like, what do I do? And would always take that on myself. And so for going to school, I just felt bad for you guys that you had to drop me off for some reason. I would just feel really bad. And like if I saw you guys talking to like one of my friends, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you don't have to do that for me. Like stop, like this is too much. And I don't know, I just didn't want people to do things for me because I felt bad for them. And then it would give me anxiety because I couldn't understand what I was feeling. And then I feel like with dance and going to friends' houses and stuff, that was more like if things weren't in my control, I didn't want to deal with it because I feel like things were too unpredictable and I didn't know what I would feel. So I just wanted to avoid it. And so I'm super heavy with avoidance in everything. In every part of my life, I would love to just ignore it and avoid it. But I've learned that that makes it worse. And the only cure to anxiety is exposure. So that's the only thing that you can do to help it. Avoiding it will make it worse. Talking about it is like, okay, you can talk about it, but the only way to fix it and get through the feelings is to feel them and do it. You are listening to the Ana Brandt podcast for the year 2025. Ana Brandt has been a professional photographer for over 25 years and has taught worldwide in over 45 countries. She continues to educate in person and online while running a busy studio in Tustin, California. My Mom's podcast is all about educating and motivating the creative entrepreneur. My name is Olivia Brandt, and I'm happy to welcome you to the 6th season of My Mom's podcast channel. We hope you subscribe and stick around.
Wow. We're sitting here with my daughter, Olivia. She's 21 years of age. She's graduating college this year. We're calling this her comeback year because it's been
my comeback year.
Quite a journey to get you here.
It has.
What you're talking about is fascinating. I actually haven't heard that before, how you said that I always knew you were an empathetic because since I've known you, since I birthed you.
Since we met. Pretty much.
If I cried, you would cry. And you would always be like, if I got a tear in my eye, you would be like, nope, because I knew you would cry. Do you remember your first movie cry? What movie it was?
It was E.T.
Yes, it was.
I felt bad for E.T.
I think you cried for like a week.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that was like the most severe movie cry I had ever seen in my life because it continued on for days.
Yeah.
It was interesting because when you were born, Evan took an interest in you for like 3 seconds. He said, Liv, let's go play. You didn't move. You were 4 days old. And then he went in the other room and went and played with his trains. And I knew from day one that you two were very different. He was a boy. You were a girl. I knew that, obviously. But from the empathy standpoint, the sensitivity standpoint, I'd never experienced anything like that because I had a boy first. And he only needed me when he was hurt, tired, or hungry. And it's kind of still the same 24 years later.
Yeah.
You were fine if you were right next to me. And the minute you weren't, or you had to go do something or go somewhere, go to a party was brutal, going to a play date was horrible.
It's the end of the world.
You would cry 3 days prior. I would try to prepare you and you would go in your room sobbing because you didn't want to go. You'd slam the door and it was 3 days of torture before the event even happened. You remember that time?
I do remember that. I feel like it's mainly like the unknown is what gives you anxiety because you can't control it. You can't predict it. I already said this. I like to control things, and like Ava, like I bossed her around her entire lives because I could. And I like the feeling of being able to know what's happening all the time. And I plan things all the time. Like I feel like now I just know how to take care of myself. And so, and you're the same, like make lists of everything.
Yes.
Like it shocked my roommates because I told them that every night before I go to bed, I'll write out a list of everything I have to do tomorrow, like down to when I'm going to take a shower, what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat it, how much free time I have. And if something changes, it will give me anxiety, but I've learned to like roll with it and deal with it better.
You're going to make a great mom because they call that mom math now.
Mom math?
Yes, because if you look on social media, they talk about mom math all the time, and you'll see a woman and she's reversing the clock of what she has to do to pick her child up from school.
Backwards planning.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so good at that.
Yes, this is what women do. I think for me that definitely came, we're obviously very alike in that. That came from me very early on. I would commute into the city. I'd lived in Jersey at a time. I was going to school in New York City. So I had to plan the bus, the train, the backwards, the clothing, how long it would take me to get dressed and lay everything out, write everything down because there was nothing worse than getting on the train and I forgot something.
Yeah.
And I remember
we forget everything.
Yes. And I lived by a day planner. And I remember one time I put my day planner on top of a car and drove away. And got to school and was freaking out because my day planner was gone and it had everything in it. And this old couple in the neighborhood went on a walk that morning and found my planner and called me. So when I came back from school, they were on my voicemail saying, we have this planner. And I went and sat down and had tea with them.
Aww.
And I remember like yesterday being so happy that like my life would be back in control because I have this planner. So we're definitely very similar in that thing. And it's interesting because I didn't see that when you were little. I didn't see any of our similarities because I didn't understand it.
I was just crying all the time.
I
didn't get it either.
Yes.
I had no idea what was going on with me either.
Yes. And taking you to school was absolutely horrible because I felt horrible. As a mother, I felt like I was sending you off to be slaughtered.
That's what it felt like. Might as well have.
And it's funny because your teachers always look fondly back at you because we had to make sure you were the line leader so they could hold your hand because that was the only way they could take you from me is to put you in the front so they could hold your hand and be with you and put your desk in the front so you could be near them. But you were pretty much a straight A student your whole life. So do you think that was because why? Where you were always, I never even once had to ask you to do your homework.
So I actually recently, shout out to my roommate, Sydney, we talked about this and getting straight A's in school, even though we have so many things that we struggle with. And I think it's because school was one thing I could always control. I could always like study more or do my homework. And I knew that like I could get that under control. And also I feel like certain people are just born that naturally are able to be better at school. Like school definitely isn't for everyone. And I think school was for me. Like I liked having things to do that I knew I could do. And I don't know. I think that is a part of back to control as well, because if I couldn't control my life outside of school, at least I had that. And at least I had straight A's and I could count on that. And it was also a reflection of like how hard I could work and how smart I could be. And I liked that I was good at school. And it wasn't until this quarter that I don't know what happened.
It's your last quarter in college. We'll forgive
it's like
you. We'll
senioritis or something's going on, because up until this quarter of college, my senior year, third to last quarter of college is the first time I've not gotten straight A's in my entire life.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, you went through a rough relationship.
I was in a dark cloud for a year, and then now my brain's trying to figure all that out. And I'm not putting as much importance on school because I feel like I don't need to as much. I'm secure in my grades and my knowledge in college, and I know I'm going to go back to school. But right now I have a lot more to focus on and like figuring out who I am and what I want when I graduate and everything. So...
Okay, so a couple of things, because this is going to reach so many different audiences. First of all, I think everybody has fear, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has anxiety to different degrees. You know, we all do. And I think there was a quote I read long ago that the difference between successful and unsuccessful people, they both have fear, but the successful person does it anyway, right? And so even though you felt a ton of anxiety, you still ended up finishing on point on stage by yourself. And I never thought that would happen. When you were little, I put you in dance. You were about 4. And every time there was a performance, the little girls in their tutus would all walk up the stage and you would walk.
And I've heard this story like 8,000 times.
Backwards.
I know.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even know who does this, this is my child. And I remember feeling so torn as a parent. What do you do? Do you force your child on stage? Do you not force them? And so if you're a parent trying to figure out what to do, we did try to get you on stage, and we did several times. And then I finally pulled you out of dance and went to put you in gymnastics. And as I said recently on social media, the gymnastics teachers would all turn me down for trying to put you in private because they wanted you to do group. And so every time we went to an establishment, I had to negotiate between group and private. And you would only do group if your sister was there. That was kind of your deal with everything.
Yeah, Ava had to be there.
Yes, you would do any group as long as Ava was there. And God bless your sister. She went along with it and she went to all of those things with you. And then you did go back to dance and we did get you on stage. And so I think that if you're a parent with a child with anxiety, you really struggle because it hurts you when your child hurts, right?
Yeah.
And you think, am I supposed to force them? Am I not supposed to force them? Am I supposed to pull them out? And you just don't know what the right thing to do is. And then from a child perspective, how does it feel knowing that you're 21? Do you think parents should push the children? Do you think they should say, never mind? Because I think when you did go back to dance, you met amazing friendships.
Yeah. Still
you
friends
learned a
with
lot.
a lot
You're
of
still
them.
friends. Your posture changed. Your body changes. You used to slouch so much. Now you are so, just beautiful in every way, shape, or form because of dance. So I don't regret for 1 second putting you back in, but it definitely was brutal and just being a mother. And you're going to be a mother one day and you may have a child with the same issue. So it's like
Probably.
from a kid's perspective, or you never know, it could be totally different. Your sister's totally different. Your brother's totally different. So you never know, but it's like, there's no really right or wrong answers, right? But from your perspective, how do you feel about all that?
Well, however you did it, worked out really well. I would say there's a line. Like if you kept forcing me and didn't take me out and you just kept being like, no, this is good for you, you know best, I think it would have built resentment and I would have probably had more anxiety and just been more mad at the world. Like, why do I have to do this? Why won't my mom listen to me? But at the same time, if you never even tried, then I never would have gotten into it. So I feel like there is a line if I was a mom and I went through that, which I feel like I can only start talking about now. Like this time, if you asked me this last year, I'd be like, I wouldn't even think about my future self. But now, I feel so much older and more mature suddenly for some reason.
Happens so quickly.
But I would definitely try. And after a couple times, I would pull back. And I think what's meant to be will be. And I fully believe that. And whatever path it has to take. And if it's quitting 1,000 times and going back to it 1,000 times, that's fine. Don't need to be the best at everything you do. And so yeah, I would definitely say however you did it worked out great. I went back. You put us in everything. And I remember even art class I remember not wanting to go a lot from the whole growing up. It was always oh, Evan's going. Why do I have to go? It's just because Evan's there. And then when I graduated high school, I started doing art on my own. And I'm so grateful for it because I love doing art and I'm so good at it because you put me in all those years of art class that I hated. So I don't know.
So it worked out well.
Yeah, everything worked out well.
So parents, it's okay to keep putting them in those classes. I didn't know that all 3 of you would have the gift of drawing in your own way. As you know, I can't draw a stick figure. It's really bad. And I also can't dance and didn't know that you guys would be dancers. I only recently found out that my biological mother was a dancer. And a seamstress. But what's interesting is you are so good at art and you have a natural gift to it. And so you decided to major in psychology. Why did you decide that?
Well, I feel like I always knew that I wanted to go into psychology for some reason. Like graduating high school, everyone's stressed trying to figure out what they want to major in, what they want to do. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to be a therapist, but I wanted to study the brain because I feel like in my brain, I've gone through a lot and I'm still going through a lot. And I always just want to understand things and like why I'm thinking that way and why I'm doing that way. And also in other people too, because people act certain ways for a reason. And I wanted to know what the reason was, and not even to fix anyone, but to help people and to help people understand themselves. Because I feel like the more you understand yourself, the easier it gets to like manage your emotions and go through life. And it kind of takes a weight off of you to figure out exactly how to take care of yourself. And so only recently I came up with my life plan is that I'm going to graduate, and then my best friend Jackie and I are going to travel. We're going to go on your world tour and we're going to try to figure out how to live in Europe for a couple months. And then I'm going to go back to grad school and get my master's. And then I do have to become a therapist for a little. And then after that, I'm going to run my own practice and open it out of an art studio and combine art and helping people, which is actually Aunt Lisa's idea, because when we visited last year, she said that the most successful people combine two of their passions.
Yes, they do.
And so art and helping people are both my passions. So I'm really excited to combine those and also figure out how to make it like Ana Brandt photography and like blow it up and travel and, you know, touch a lot of people. But yeah, so that's my plan. But I knew I always wanted to help people and understand people. So that's what I'm doing.
And I think that as long as, you know, when I became a photographer, I didn't think I'd travel. I didn't think anyone would know my name. Wasn't on my list of things to do. It was just, I loved photography, right? And I don't know if you remember, the first time I was asked to teach internationally, I turned him down for 2 years in a row.
Really?
It was Brazil. And they had been watching me on YouTube, and they asked me to come speak, but it was at your dance competition. It was the weekend of your dance competition. And so I said I couldn't do it, and I turned him down. And it was the first time I had ever been asked to speak internationally anywhere. And then they asked me the second year, and I turned them down again because it was on the same weekend again.
Wow.
And by the third year, they came up with a different date. And I finally went, and I was so terrified. Talk about anxiety, because everybody was telling me how scary Brazil was, and they were going to rip apart my suitcase. And I called my sister freaking out, and she said, I'll go with you. I'll fly from JFK. You fly from Los Angeles, and I'll meet you in Sao Paulo.
Wow.
And when I got in the car, I wanted to turn back because the anxiety was so bad. And I texted her, I said, I don't think I can do this. And she's like, I'm going to pray for you the whole way. And the whole way I'm traveling, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to meet you there, and I'm going to take your hand, and we're going to go. She had no idea why I was really going. She didn't know that part of my world. She had never seen me speak, and no one in my family had. And when we got to the stage, there were 300 people there. In fact, when we the car pulled up, people came running out of the exhibition hall and screaming. And she was like, why are they acting like this? And I'm like, I have no idea. I had no idea that anyone in Brazil knew me. I didn't know that anyone knew my name or that anyone was even watching my videos, because I wasn't paying attention to my YouTube statistics at the point. And then when I finally did speak on stage, and there were 300 people in the audience, and then afterwards they had a line a mile long of people wanting to take photos with me.
Wow.
And my sister took me by my hand and said, at any point when you need to leave, you leave. And there was at one point in the middle, I had to go to the bathroom, and my sister's like blocking the bathroom like my security guard. And we went back and took more photos. And then I don't even remember exactly how many photos I took before my sister took my hand and said, that's enough, and took me out of the line.
Wow.
And brought me back to the hotel. And it's interesting because we were never really that close growing up, two completely different worlds. But that particular weekend changed everything about our relationship. And I think for the first time, she was a Spanish teacher in New York. She just retired with a full pension. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was terrified. I had anxiety, but I felt like someone had my back and grabbed me by my hand and led me. And that led my journey of 45 countries later. I don't know, had I ever gotten on that plane or met my sister, if I would have had the journey that I've had. And I think that the way that I've built my life is just keep listening to the voices that tell me do what I'm supposed to do. And I see you doing the same thing. And it's hard because you're going to get interference from other people who are going to try to block those voices. They already have tried. Yes, you went through a really rough year. And sometimes they're successful and it's going to set you back. But I think you're coming out stronger than ever, and it's fun to watch you.
Yeah, it happened for a reason. Only going up from here. It's exciting. And like I have so many things to say from what you just said, but I was talking to Jackie and saying like I could very easily like slip into like a major depression and be so upset about everything that's happened to me and like so just caught up in a bunch of sad emotions and just do nothing and just be upset all the time. But it's easier to do that, but it feels so much better to just be so excited that everything's changing and there's so much to look forward to. And I do believe that things happen when they're meant to, and that what we've been through is only making us stronger and preparing us for the future. And like, I'm such a different person than who I was a year ago. And I'm just so grateful for everything now. Like even a night that would have been bad, like not a great time last year, is just like the best night I've ever had now. Like even if nothing happens, all the plans fall through, I'm just so happy to be there. Like, I don't know. So mindset changes everything for sure. And I don't know, also exposure. Like if you and Aunt Lisa never went to Brazil that day, like maybe you probably wouldn't have been here now.
Yeah.
And it is nice to have people to lean on. And, you know, Ava has been my best friend our entire lives, and we've been through everything together. I'm gonna cry. And I'm so grateful for her, and I miss her a lot. And I know that we're always going to be there for each other growing up and going into our 20s, and I'm excited for that. And I definitely couldn't be here without her.
For sure.
And, you know, everyone goes through their highs and lows, and so I don't know. I just lost my whole train of thought.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You know, you and your sister will always have a bond. There were, you know, Aunt Lisa and I are not even biologically related. I'm adopted, as many people know. And
they're completely different people.
Completely different people.
She just did a 500-mile walk across Spain.
Yes.
I don't think you would ever do that.
No, I would never do that.
Ever.
I can't even wrap my head around how small her bag was.
I know. It was a backpack.
I think my makeup bag is bigger than that bag. Yes, we're two completely different people. But I think that, you know, Ava's in school now and she's learning to discover who she is. And I think that at the end of the day, we're only responsible for who we are, our behavior, how we treat others, right? And you guys will always have a bond that nobody can break. You're going to step apart away from each other. You're going to come closer and back again. And I think that as family, our job is to just love, right? We just have to love. I remember my mom growing up, no matter, you know, she was my adopted mother, no matter how many times I was in trouble, which was a lot, by the way. I was completely opposite of you. I was a D student at best. I had zero desire for school and hated school. So you definitely don't get that from my side.
Yeah.
And my mom would always be like, okay, Ana Maria, you're grounded for the month, but I love you so much. And, you know, my whole life, she would always be like, my grandfather would be the same. He would be like, oh, Ana, you're so smart. And I'd be like, well, yeah, I'm grounded, Grandpa. And that's why you're here, because you're my babysitter for the week. And he would be like, I know, but we love you and you're so smart. And I think that that's kind of what you have to do as family is, you know, before my mom passed, a year before she passed, you know, my marriage ended to my surprise, and our family was ripped apart. It was very difficult to deal with. And my mother helped me through that. And I remember at the time asking my mom, how did you raise 5 children, two of us adopted.
Mhm.
We're all different. We're all a year apart. I don't even know how you did that. I know she drank a lot of wine. Sangria was her fruit punch.
Mhm.
But I couldn't wrap my head around it because I was just going through so much with you guys navigating your worlds into teenagehood, my marriage ending, which was a complete shock to me. And she said something that I replay in my head almost every single day. There's two things that I replay in my head. One is from the Bible and one is from her. One from her is she said she never took credit for the successes and failures of her children.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, she had a master's in psychology from NYU. And I was very fascinated by that statement because she said if we succeeded, she was happy. And if we did not succeed or we were in trouble or something happened, she was still happy because she still loved us and it didn't change who she was. And so whatever you guys go through, for the good and the bad, while sometimes it's super brutal watching you go through it, it doesn't change how much I love you and respect you. And I think that kind of stays with me. The second thing is the Bible verse that I think about almost every single day. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that's Proverbs 3:5-6. My mom is a huge fan of Proverbs. And there are so many days where I'm just like, why? What the heck is happening? And it's always trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your understanding, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And sometimes I'll be driving and I'll just have the worst day. And it's trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. And I think that that's something that I have to, now that I've lost my mom, is I try to just lean on. I think that we need certain things to lean on, whether they're people or verses. There's one that you leaned on for a long time. Do you remember what it is? That was the only way we could get you to even go on stage.
What?
I believe it was something Jasmine said to you. It was either Jasmine or a teacher or a tutor. I have to think about who said it to you. I think you'll know if I tell you.
Tell me.
You can do hard things.
Oh, yeah. Wait. I'm pretty sure you said that to me.
No, I think it was someone else.
I would just
repeat it over and over and over again.
I have it everywhere. I write it down all the time because that did help me. I can do hard things.
I don't know if it was Jasmine or a different teacher. I feel like it was Jasmine.
Jasmine's so great.
Jasmine, I hired to Olivia. I felt needed private. Well, you wanted private help when you were on point. And I interviewed.
Because my studio did not have my back.
They did not have
And
your
the
back.
very last competition I had a solo on stage. It was the last time I was ever going to perform that solo. And the first year I had a solo. And not a single person from my entire studio showed up for me. And so Jasmine came.
And do you remember us sitting in the car that day?
Yeah, I was crying. I was so upset.
So we were in Long Beach. We got in the parking lot and you started bawling. First, it was the students weren't coming. And then it was your coach.
My teacher. Your teacher. Yeah, she wasn't coming.
And I don't know if you knew that I had privately texted Jasmine.
I don't remember. I think you might have told me you texted her. I didn't know. I don't know. I don't remember.
While you were crying, I put the phone to the side because I didn't want you to see because I was worried you would say no. And I just said to her, I'm sure I could find the text somewhere, 911. We're sitting here in this parking lot and I don't know what to do. It's her final solo performance. And you had mentioned that the coaches stretch you and prep you. And here we are by ourselves, me and you. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a coach.
I have no idea what to do either. They normally guide us through everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got in and Jasmine made it 1 minute before you got on stage. She met you backstage.
Yeah. And then right after I performed, we called the studio and said, we're never coming back.
Yeah. We were done. And it was disappointing as a mom to be in a dance studio and watch other dancers get more attention than your daughter. That's very difficult. It's unfortunately a brutal time. And so I felt like I needed outside help. And I interviewed the first 2 teachers and you didn't like them.
I don't remember.
Jasmine was number 3. You didn't get a good vibe.
It was meant to be Jasmine.
Yes. She was number 3 and you instantly connected with her. And I bought a ballet bar for the studio so you guys could come in and just practice at the studio. And I remember so many times just you having to say you can do hard things. I feel like it was even on your mirror for a while.
Yeah, it's on my laptop too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did help me because Yeah, it is nice to have people to lean on, and it's always okay to ask for help and whatever gets you through it. I mean, I feel like I've learned that the only way the only way to do things is to do them. And I always have the urge to avoid things, even if I want them, if they cause me any kind of stress or anxiety. Like, I just want to hide and forget about it and distract myself. But you just have to do it. You just have to do things, because then you learn about yourself and what you like and what you don't, and what your limits are and your boundaries. And I think knowing yourself will get you even further in life, because you won't settle for things that don't fulfill you. And I can confidently say that I'm very excited for my future, and I definitely couldn't say that a couple months ago. Like, a couple months ago, I'd probably be like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm only thinking about today. I'm only thinking about tomorrow. But zooming out and looking at the bigger picture is also helpful, because like, their healing and growing is not linear. And there's going to be days that are really, really, really bad for no reason sometimes. And you just have to get through those, because it makes the good days so much better. And I'm just so excited for everything. Like, I'm excited to, wake up in the morning, get our nails done. Like, I don't know. Everything's so much more exciting, because I went through all the really, really bad days, and then I took a lot of things I had for granted. And so the bad things and experiences are there for a reason, and they give you more. You need to take them and use it as motivation. And instead of taking them and seeing them as blocks, like, see them as steps. You got to step up,
Mm-hmm.
That's such a good metaphor. Like, you see something and it's blocking you. You just got to climb it. You got to go over it.
I love it.
Instead of just being like, oh, I give up.
Yeah.
Because then you'll get higher and higher and better and better. And,
I love that.
So good. Wow.
I love watching you come into your own. I never thought that having kids would be this therapeutic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just a mini you.
You really are.
A lot funnier.
But we all know I'm really so funny. I just think people don't realize how funny I am. I love that she says she's funny, Alex. I literally say this every day. Like, I'm definitely the funny one.
No, I'm so funny.
I am so proud of you. I love you so much. I'm going to try to say this without crying.
No, stop. Oh God. I
love that you're an empathetic, and I am too. And I think it's hard. It's hard when you absorb so much, when you absorb people's feelings, and you are very intuitive. Yes. Would you say that?
Yes.
And sometimes you can feel people without them even saying something. Right. And intuition sometimes is super hard, because you absorb everything around you. And I'm always amazed by people that don't really seem to have that.
Yeah, I'm always shocked. I'm like,
right?
I don't get it.
Like, where is your empathy? Why are you so angry?
Yeah.
So I love that about you. I think that's an amazing trait. I already know you're going to be an amazing mother one day, if you choose to be a mother one day.
Of course.
I'm so you're
excited.
already a dog mom.
Yeah, I already am a mom.
You already are.
Shout out Willow.
We love Willow. Hashtag we love Willow.
Yeah.
She's a really good dog. I'm going to miss her when you go back to school. Like,
we'll be back in June.
I know. I think you have a huge future. I'm sorry for what you went through this past year.
Me too.
What we're talking about is she just went through a very, very difficult relationship, as we all do. We all go through relationships. Look, I ended a 20-year marriage. That wasn't fun.
It's not fun at all.
No, but I feel like I'm 10 times stronger than I ever was.
Me too.
Losing my mom almost broke me, because I felt like that was my support. That was the one person that I could call at any given moment. And I know you understand that. And we talk like almost every day. What I love about you is, even if we don't talk, sometimes you'll just be like, hey, or you'll just like drop me.
We'll just like, it always continues like as if we were talking already. Like, it could be like a week for some reason that we just like don't really talk. And then it'll be like, send some weird meme or something on Instagram, and like we're always in contact.
And I love that. And I think that's amazing. And you have some amazing girl friendships.
I do. Shout out Jackie. I've mentioned her already so many times, but I honestly couldn't have gotten through anything I've been through without her. And we're very similar in the empathy too. Like I feel like Jackie and I, we've been through very different things, but she's very empathetic and very compassionate and very kind. And I think we understand each other in that way, and with our anxiety too. And with the empathy and compassion, we have to learn to draw boundaries, because there are people that will feed off of it and take advantage of it. And, you know, we only want the best for people. And like, since we can feel everything, we want everyone to feel happy things.
Right.
And like, I know I don't want anyone to go through any sort of bad emotions, so I will do anything I can to make sure they don't, even though it's not always my responsibility. And that's what I've had to learn, is that I need to put my feelings and my emotions first, and then I can be the best person I can be for someone else. And I, for a long time, wasn't doing that. I wasn't considering my feelings and what was best for me. And so it's been a journey going through it with Jackie as well, because like she has always supported me and has been with me through everything. And we only met randomly in a chemistry class sophomore year of college. And now we're going to travel together next year. And, you know, she's one of my forever friends for sure. And I'm so grateful for her and everything that she's done. And I think having people like that, and I feel like we're also similar in that way, of course, it's very reassuring to know that like there is nothing wrong with me for feeling things. And growing up, I thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, why am I crying all the time? Or Evan would pick on me so much, like, oh, you're always crying. And I'd be like, you're right, I am always crying. I don't know why. Like, I have no idea. But it is a beautiful thing, but definitely learning boundaries and taking care of myself is something that was harder. And I feel like for other people, it's flipped. For them, it's like they're only thinking about themselves and the emotions, and thinking about other people come second. So I'm so grateful I'm this way.
Oh, 100%. You know, I have
wouldn't
three
have it
brothers.
any other way.
I have three brothers telling me I cried all the time.
Yeah.
You ask my three brothers, like, how often did Anna cry? They'll be like, I think she cried for like the first 14 years of her life.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes. I'd be at the dinner table and my brother would be like, oh my God, she's crying again.
Yeah. Sometimes it just be for no reason too. Like I just need to cry.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, 100%.
I've already cried like 3 times since talking.
Well, so with all of this, what do you have to say for those that are listening that maybe they're stuck? Maybe they're stuck in a couple of things. Maybe they're stuck in a bad relationship. Maybe they're stuck in sheer fear of taking the next step or making a decision that they're afraid to make, or they don't have a support of their family, or they don't have friends like Jackie, or they don't have a relationship with their mother like you and I have. Like, what do you say just from a 21-year-old perspective with the whole world ahead of her? What do you say to those listening?
So one thing that helped me get through the hardest times is becoming aware of yourself. And what got me out of the relationship and I felt so trapped and so stuck and like I couldn't do anything. And what ultimately helped me was picturing what I wanted my life to look like, and picturing exactly how I wanted to feel, exactly what I could do if I wasn't in this situation, and just building that image, as well as looking at my life now and thinking what I wish was different, and just like, oh, I don't like this. I wish this was different. I wish this person responded differently. I wish that I could wake up earlier. I wish, like, I don't know, taking all of the negatives and looking at those, taking all of the positives and looking at those. And that will push you to obviously want the life that you're imagining. And then from there, I think it's just taking the necessary steps to get there. And for me, that was like, I was picturing my life single and, you know, independent again and happy again. And looking at my life now and seeing that I didn't have any of that, and I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so literally one day I just woke up and I was like, okay, that's it. Like, that's enough. I can get this life and I can do this. And I think a lot of it is just figuring out what you don't like and what you do like, and just being aware of who you are underneath everything, taking out everything from your life and just like inside knowing what you want and then doing it, like that's literally all you can do is just do it the best you can. You know, make a list of, especially in the new year, me and my shout out Jill, shouting out so many people tonight. We're going to make a collage for what we want our year to look like. And I think, you know, even just writing out lists, like I want to wake up early every morning. I want to, you know, even future goals. Like I want to be a famous photographer like Ana Brandt. I want to do this and that, like taking the big picture things and breaking it down into what you can do right now and the smaller steps, because as long as you start, you're going in the right direction. And if you keep holding on to what you want and what it will look like, then it will come to you and it will happen. You just need to shift your mindset. You need to shift your thoughts. You know, you're the only person that can pull yourself out of the hole. And you're also the person that has kept you in the hole. And no one can, you cannot let people have the power to control you. And at the end of the day, you are the only person that can do that for yourself. No one else can fix your life for you. No one else can make you do these things except you. And so in order to do that, you need to just have something that you're working towards, and everything will fall into place as long as you're there for yourself and you're doing what you want and not factoring in just get rid of all the noise, get rid of all of it, sit down with yourself, think about what you want and plan, like figure out how to get there and just do it.
I love that. It's one of the reasons why I like to wake up early, is I like to have quiet time.
I love to wake up early. 2 p.m. today. Yeah. It's so nice to wake up early.
Keep in mind you are 21. Yeah. So I think I was the same at 21 when in college, for sure. But as you get older, one of the reasons why I like to get up early is just to kind of have quiet time, just write things down. I love to write things down. I mean, you know, same. We share that.
I love it.
I love it so much.
Fun. Even if you never look at it again.
It's written.
It's just so fun.
But you know, I was reading an article the other day that said some of the most successful people make things happen because they've written it down.
Yeah, because you put it into existence. When you say things out loud and you put them on paper, they exist and they're achievable and they're there.
Yes.
So
100%.
I do believe that.
100%. I'm so proud to be your mom. I feel like my mom right now. I feel like it's something my mom would say to me, and I'm passing it on to you. And I love you so much, and I'm super proud of you. And thank you for being on this podcast.
I love you so much. Thank you for having me. It's so cool to be here with the Ana Brandt. I'm so starstruck right now.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell everyone what Liv used to do? You'd be in the car and I'd be driving like a normal human being. And all of a sudden Liv would be in the passenger seat and she would go, oh my gosh. And she would look at her phone and I would be like trying not to get into an accident, thinking something terrible happened. And she'd be like, oh my gosh, Ana Brandt liked my post.
The Ana Brandt just liked my post. The Ana Brandt just posted. That's crazy. All my friends joke about it too. My first thing is like, yeah, my mom's on famous birthdays. That's what gets everyone. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, the Ana Brandt.
Oh my gosh. Gosh. Something you said I want to end with that I don't even know if you know you said it. You know, one of my favorite quotes is live the life you imagine. And you basically summed that up in your paragraph. Is that you summed it up in reverse. You imagined the life that you wanted to live.
Backwards planning.
Yes.
It all comes down to
Oh my gosh. See, Alex, we leave, but we always come back. We always come back.
I'm definitely very good at backwards planning. And, you know, that's what you have to do. You just got to take it one step at a time.
Absolutely.
You have the goal in mind.
Absolutely. That's awesome. All right, you guys. I'm Ana Brandt.
I'm Olivia Brandt.
Thanks for listening.
Did you like this podcast? We would love it if you gave my mom a kind review and reached out to her. To learn more about Ana, visit anabrandt.com. You can find out about her education opportunities at anabrandteducation.com. Thank you.
That was awesome, Liv.
Wow, I'm such a natural podcasting.
That was so good. You and Jackie should have your own podcast.
We should. I know.